Hello, I'm Essay, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
1785, Pierre-Simon Laplace Exposition du système du monde. The Exposition du système du monde, published by Pierre-Simon Laplace in 1796, presents a comprehensive and elegant formulation detailing the structure and evolution of our solar system. This essay endeavours to offer a deep, critical analysis of Laplace's work, focusing intently upon the claims, arguments, and internal coherence of this seminal text. Our examination moves sequentially through the major sections of the exposition, subjecting Laplace's propositions to a discerning yet respectful scrutiny. The goal is to understand, evaluate, and appreciate the foundational contributions Laplace made regarding mechanics, astronomy, and philosophical implications of the universe, while acknowledging the limites inherent in scientific understanding of his Section 1 General Considerations on the System of the World. Laplace begins with a broad introduction, offering context and outlining the intended scope of his work. He immediately addresses the fundamental questions concerning the origins of the solar system, proposing his nebula hypothesis. This postulates that the solar system originated from a rotating cloud of gas and dust, contracting under gravity and eventually forming the sun and planets. He argues from observations of planetary orbits, their near-circular paths, and the alignment of their orbital planes, emphasizing these features as evidence supporting a common formative process. The core claim here lies in the universality of the laws of physics. What governs the motion of terrestrial phenomena similarly dictates the celestial ballet. Laplace invokes Newton's law of gravitation, asserting its explanatory power as a universal mechanism of attraction. The methodology at this point involves observation and inference, drawing conclusions from observed regularities. He avoids any appeal to divine intervention or special causes, instead advancing an entirely naturalistic explanation. This is a bold proposition given the prevailing theological views of the era. Laplace's arguments are compelling, grounded as they are in empirical observations and theoretical rigor. His proposal, though lacking specific details about the mechanisms of dust cloud formation or planetesimal accretion, establishes a framework for a mechanistic cosmology. Section 2 on the theory of the tides. Laplace then delves into the theory of tides. He develops his own mathematical model. Improving upon Newton's earlier work, he argues that the tides are primarily, though not exclusively, caused by the gravitational attraction of the Moon and the Sun upon the Earth's oceans. His analysis entails complex calculations involving the interplay of gravitational forces, centrifugal forces, and the Earth's rotation. He acknowledges the complexity of the problem, recognizing that factors such as the bathymetry of oceans and atmospheric conditions impact tidal behavior. A key element is Laplace's use of differential equations to describe the tidal forces, a sophisticated approach for the time. His arguments are bolstered by empirical data. The observed correlation of tidal patterns with lunar phases and the sun's position. He provides a more accurate and detailed description of tidal phenomena, including spring tides and neap tides. Laplace doesn't merely replicate Newton's formulation. Instead, he builds upon it, presenting a more refined and complex understanding. The methodology employed here shows a move toward mathematical modeling. While the model is relatively accurate, it leaves aside many of the factors to have a fully accurate understanding. His work represents a critical advancement in understanding tides and provides an impressive demonstration of the power of mathematical analysis in astronomy. Section 3 on the motion of the planets. This section explores the intricate movements exhibited by the planets. Laplace discusses planetary orbits, with a focus on their elliptical paths and the perturbations caused by gravitational interactions between them. He demonstrates a masterful command of celestial mechanics, applying mathematics to account for the complex, perpetual interplay of gravitational effects. He calculates the influence of each planet on the others and explains the long-term stability of the solar system. Laplace emphasizes that these perturbations, despite their complexity, are ultimately stable. He introduces the concept of the invariable plane, demonstrating that the total angular momentum of the solar system remains constant. The main thrust of the argument revolves around demonstrating the inherent stability of the solar system. The methodology utilizes advanced mathematics, particularly techniques involving differential equations and perturbation theory. He presents strong evidence for the stability of the orbital arrangement, dismissing ideas of any cataclysmic, external perturbation. The section is dense with complex calculations, requiring a strong degree of mathematical sophistication, which may render it difficult for some of the audience. It provided a detailed and elegant explanation of planetary behavior. Section 4 on the satellites of the planets. Laplace extends his inquiries to the satellites orbiting the planets. He examines the established satellites of the major planets Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus. He applies the same principles of Newtonian gravitation and celestial mechanics that governed his descriptions of planetary motion, providing a unified framework. He demonstrates that the motions of the satellites, like the planets, are governed by the laws of gravity and subject to mutual perturbations. Laplace provides detailed analyses of the orbital characteristics of each satellite system. He uses these observations to validate his earlier theoretical developments. Each of his conclusions stem from existing observational data. This section showcases the applicability of the theory as he shows how the same principles are able to describe planet and satellite mechanics in a cohesive fashion. He supports the idea that the laws of physics apply universally. The methodology relies on accurate observations coupled with mathematical modeling. Section 5 on the rings of Saturn. Laplace turns to the rings of Saturn, a striking instance of celestial mechanics. He offers an early hypothesis on their structure and stability. Rather than suggesting that the rings were solid, he proposes that the rings are composed of a multitude of small, independent particles. This formulation accounts for their observed stability, as each individual particle can follow its own orbit around Saturn. He argues against the possibility of a solid ring, because a solid ring would quickly break apart given the forces and stresses involved. He uses this to support the idea of a ring system, composed of separate particles, a proposal now well established. The methodology involves applying mechanics to this structure which is not directly observable. He offers compelling arguments, even if his reasoning is based on indirect evidence. The section demonstrates his ingenuity in formulating credible explanations, even when facing limited to. Section 6 on comets and their movement. Laplace devotes a section to comets and their behavior. He notes their highly eccentric orbits, which distinguish them from the planets. He discusses the potential paths of comets and attempts to estimate the probability of their encounters with planets. Laplace posits how comets, traversing through the solar system, are subject to the sun's gravitational pull and can even experience perturbations from planets. He calculates the trajectory of these objects and the possibility of collisions. Laplace provides critical analysis of cometary motion, showing that comets appear to be integral members of the solar system. His methodology employs the Newtonian theory of gravity, adapting it to the unique characteristics of cometary orbits. The work includes the recognition that comets can have a significant impact on planets or, more generally, on the structure of the solar system and of life as we know. Section 7 on the nebula hypothesis and the formation of the solar system. This is perhaps the most celebrated section in the Exposition, where Laplace elaborates on his nebula hypothesis. He describes the initial stages of a rotating nebula cloud, its progressive contraction under gravity, and the formation of rings of gas and dust. These rings, accumulating into planets, would eventually settle into their present orbits. He emphasizes that the direction of rotation of planets and their moons provides support for his formation hypothesis. The methodology is primarily theoretical and based on inferences from observations. He grounds the idea of the sun as the origin of the solar system. He further claims that the laws of physics are sufficient to explain the origins of the solar system. This is presented as a complete explanation for the observed structure and the motions of the solar system, replacing supernatural explanations of the creation of the world. The implications are profound. It offers a systematic, naturalistic account of cosmic evolution. Section 8 on the stability of the solar system. Laplace examines the stability of the solar system to demonstrate the permanence of the arrangement. He discusses the long-term effects of perturbations, such as those caused by gravitational interactions. He argues that the perturbations, despite their complexity, are ultimately periodic and that the solar system will persist, perhaps indefinitely. He provides an elegant mathematical demonstration of the stability of the system. The approach is built on his work in celestial mechanics, especially in perturbation theory. Laplace draws upon his accumulated theoretical understanding and extensive calculations to address this central question. This part conveys his belief in a universe operating according to immutable, understandable laws. The main conclusion establishes an argument about the long-term stability of the solar system. Section 9, General Conclusions and Reflections. Laplace concludes his Exposition du système du monde with a reflection on the philosophical implications of his work. He emphasizes the universality of physical laws, the deterministic nature of the universe, and his own view of the world. Laplace asserts that, if one knew the initial position and velocity of all particles in the universe, one could predict the entirety of future events. He is often quoted for this concept of Laplace's demon, an intelligence capable of knowing everything. The work makes broad statements about the character of the universe and the power of human intellect. The methodology encompasses the use of deduction and interpretation, synthesizing the results derived from all of his earlier work. With confidence, this section attempts to summarize the significance of his findings. In conclusion, Pierre-Simon Laplace's Exposition du système du monde offers a remarkable synthesis of astronomical knowledge, mathematical sophistication, and philosophical insight. His work presents a unified and cohesive view of the solar system, explicating the fundamental forces and mechanisms that govern its evolution. The claims presented throughout the text, spanning from the theory of tides to the nebular hypothesis, are fundamentally based on close observation and logical rigor. The methodology, centered upon the application of the laws of motion and universal gravitation, is elegant and reveals Laplace's remarkable ability to translate observations into a comprehensive mathematical language. While some details of his theories, particularly in the description of nebular processes, have been superseded by later discoveries, the overall structure of the solar system, as described by him, is remarkably accurate. His contributions have proven to be enduring. Laplace's work is significant for its integration of observation, mathematics, and theoretical reasoning. His insistence that the universe could be understood through natural laws, without recourse to divine intervention, was a pivotal moment in the scientific enterprise. The Exposition du système du monde has had an enormous impact on subsequent scientific thought and continues to be a landmark achievement in the history of science, demonstrating the power of the human intellect to unlock the secrets of the cosmos.
We really appreciate you tuning in to this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.